He walked into the room like he owned every breath I took. Something about him didn't just draw attention. It demanded surrender. Tall, composed, dressed in black, with the kind of quiet intensity that made every cell in me sit up and take notice. His eyes locked with mine across the noise and laughter, and in that second, I stopped pretending I didn't want someone to reach deep into the parts of me I always kept hidden. He didn't smile, he stared, with heat and hunger, and a message only my body could translate. He walked straight toward me, never looking away, and when he stood before me, I could hardly breathe. His voice was low and deep, rich like melted night, and the moment he said my name, I was already unraveling. Every instinct screamed danger, but my skin tingled at the thought of what his hands could do, and my thoughts blurred into one ache. I wanted to feel him. I didn't need promises. I needed his touch, and in his gaze I knew I wouldn't be left wanting. We didn't speak much that night, because words weren't necessary. His fingers brushed mine, slow and purposeful, as he leaned in close enough for me to feel the warmth of his breath along my cheek. It wasn't innocent. Nothing about him was, and I didn't want innocence. I wanted fire. I followed him without asking where we were going, not because I was foolish, but because something in me knew he wasn't taking me somewhere. I was the destination. The elevator ride was quiet, except for the pounding of my pulse in my ears, and the heat crawling under my skin. When the doors closed, his hand gripped my waist, and I leaned into him, inhaling the scent of leather, musk, and danger. He didn't ask if I wanted this. He knew, and when the door to his suite opened, and I stepped inside, I knew my life before him would feel dull in comparison. We didn't hesitate. We collided, hands greedy, mouths fierce, the sound of zippers and gasps echoing louder than any thoughts of regret. His mouth was wild and deliberate, a contradiction I could never resist. He kissed me like I was a secret he'd been dying to confess, tasting every inch of me with devotion and hunger. I had been touched before, but never like this, never like someone who was reading a language only my body could speak. Every moan he coaxed from my throat only made him bolder, rougher, sweeter. I clutched his shoulders, my nails dragging down his back as he pressed me against the wall like I was the only thing holding him together. His hands moved over my body with purpose, discovering, claiming, teasing, worshipping. He didn't ask me to break, he made me crave it. I was fire and ash under his fingertips, a symphony of need and surrender. We fell into the bed in a blur of limbs and desire, wrapped in sheets and sweat, his voice whispering filth and poetry against my skin. When he finally took me, slow at first and then like a storm, I shattered into 1,000 flames, and I never wanted to be whole again. We didn't just make love, we lived inside it. That night stretched long into the early hours, our bodies tangled in ways that felt more like confessions than pleasure. He kissed me in places no one had ever dared, as if he could taste my history, my hurt, my hidden longing. Every time I thought I'd had enough, he'd pull me back, deeper, harder, more honest than I thought I could handle. There was no part of me he didn't touch, no part he didn't want. He murmured my name like a vow, a prayer, a spell. I didn't sleep, I didn't want to. I watched him in the moonlight, the sweat on his chest glistening, his hand still wrapped in mine, and I realized I didn't just want his body. I wanted his silence, his anger, his laughter, his chaos. I wanted the mornings after, the rough edges, the messy truths. I wanted all of him. When his fingers brushed my face and he whispered, "You ruined me," I kissed him like I was proud to, because he ruined me too, beautifully. The morning after didn't feel like an ending, it felt like a beginning. He made coffee shirtless, still smelling like sleep and sex and something that now belonged to me. We didn't pretend it hadn't happened. He kissed me in the kitchen like it had always been this way. His hand tangled in my hair as he pulled me against him, groaning into my mouth like I was the only thing worth waking up for. I touched the scruff on his jaw and memorized the curve of his smirk when I traced my fingers over the scratch marks on his back. We ate breakfast in bed, and I couldn't stop touching him. I didn't care about time or rules or what came next. All I knew was that my body still ached in places only he had kissed, and I wanted to feel that ache every day. He wasn't sweet, he was intense, possessive, bold, but he made me feel like I was worth being ruined for. And that day, as we fell into each other again with messy hair and morning light, I knew this was only the start. We began a dangerous rhythm, sneaking away from our lives, disappearing into hotel rooms, stealing hours that turned into entire weekends. He took me against doors, on countertops, in showers where he whispered dirty truths against my neck, and made me beg with nothing more than a glance. But it wasn't just the sex, it was the obsession. We couldn't stop wanting, couldn't stop reaching. He texted me in the middle of the night, "I can still taste you." I'd reply, "I want you inside me again." Our messages were fire, but our bodies were war-hungry, brutal, beautiful. He taught me how to lose control, how to ask for what I wanted, how to scream his name into pillows, and still crave more. But in the stillness after, he held me like I was fragile, kissed my forehead, told me things he didn't share with anyone else. I wasn't just his lover, I was his escape, his addiction, his peace. And he became my everything. Even when we were apart, I could feel him in my bones, like a shadow I never wanted to escape. One night, after hours of making love so intense, it left me trembling. He traced my scars with his lips and said, "You're the most beautiful kind of broken." I cried, not because I was hurt, but because for the first time someone saw every shattered part of me and didn't flinch. He kissed the tears from my cheeks, and in that moment something shifted. This wasn't just passion anymore, it was love, bold and burning and terrifying. I whispered, "Don't leave," and he didn't say anything, he just pulled me tighter. He started leaving things at my place. A shirt here, a book there, a toothbrush. His presence became permanent, even when he wasn't there, and I wanted more. I wanted lazy Sundays, arguments over dishes, drunken laughter at 2 a.m., messy, beautiful life with him. When he finally said, "I love you," it wasn't over candlelight or during sex. It was when I burned dinner, and he kissed my burnt fingers and said,